Welcome, dear listener, to a place where dreams and stories come to life. Tonight, we will journey to the mystical kingdom of Florindale, where brave hearts and ancient magic intertwine in a tale of hope, courage, and discovery. As you relax and settle in, let your mind drift to the serene hills and forests of Florindale, where the moonlight casts a soft glow over the land. Breathe deeply, feel the weight of the day melt away, and allow the soothing rhythm of the story to carry you into a peaceful slumber. Close your eyes and let the adventure begin. Chapter 1. The Plague's Curse. The kingdom of Florindale, nestled between rolling hills and vast forests, was once a realm of prosperity and joy. Its people thrived under the wise rule of King Elion, whose benevolent reign brought peace and abundance to every corner of the land. However, a shadow had recently fallen over Florindale, plunging it into a state of despair. A mysterious illness, like a silent spectre, had crept through the kingdom. It began in the outskirts, with whispers of strange symptoms: a sudden weakness, a high fever, and an unrelenting fatigue that left even the strongest bedridden. The illness spread swiftly, ignoring the boundaries of wealth and status, afflicting both the noble and the humble alike. Healers and herbalists, despite their best efforts, found themselves powerless against the plague that ravaged the population. Prince Elion, the young and courageous son of King Elion, watched helplessly as his people suffered. From the high towers of the castle, he could see the once bustling streets now eerily quiet, the markets deserted, and the fields left untended. His heart ached at the sight of his beloved kingdom brought to its knees by an unseen enemy. King Elion, now bedridden himself, summoned Edric to his chambers. The once strong and vigorous king now lay pale and frail, his eyes filled with a sorrow that mirrored his son's. "Edric," he said, his voice a mere whisper, "our kingdom is in dire need. You must find a way to save our people." Edric knelt beside his father, his determination evident in his gaze. "I will not rest until I find a cure, father. I swear it." With the weight of the kingdom on his shoulders, Edric consulted the ancient tomes in the royal library. Days turned into nights as he pored over texts, searching for any mention of a remedy. His tireless efforts finally led him to an old, forgotten manuscript that spoke of a legendary plant known as the golden ivy. According to the text, this mystical ivy possessed leaves of gold that held unparalleled healing properties, capable of curing any ailment. The manuscript told of an ancient prophecy. When the kingdom is shadowed by despair and illness strikes the land, a brave soul shall seek the golden ivy in the heart of the Enchanted Forest. Only through trials of courage, wisdom, and purity shall the ivy's healing power be bestowed. Edric's heart raced with newfound hope. He knew that this was the answer he had been searching for. With the manuscript clutched tightly in his hands, he made his way to the throne room where the royal council awaited his news. "My lords," Edric announced, his voice echoing through the grand hall, "I have found a way to save Florindale. I shall embark on a quest to find the golden ivy and bring it back to heal our people." The council, though wary of the dangers that lay ahead, knew they had little choice but to place their faith in their prince. Preparations for his journey began immediately. Edric was equipped with the finest armor, a sword forged by the kingdom's best blacksmith, and provisions for the long and perilous journey. As he stood at the gates of the castle, ready to depart, the people of Florindale gathered to bid him farewell. Their eyes, filled with a mixture of hope and fear, watched as their prince mounted his steed. Edric raised his hand in a gesture of reassurance, his voice firm as he addressed the crowd. "I will return with the cure. Trust in me and keep faith." With a final glance at the castle and the ailing kingdom he loved so dearly, Edric spurred his horse forward, beginning his quest into the unknown. The path ahead was fraught with danger, but the prince's resolve was unshakable. The fate of Florindale rested in his hands, and he would stop at nothing to save his people from the clutches of the mysterious illness that plagued them. The forest loomed ahead, a labyrinth of ancient trees and tangled undergrowth, its depths shrouded in mystery and magic. Prince Edric's heart beat with a mix of trepidation and resolve as he ventured into the dense foliage. The journey to find the golden ivy had begun, and with each step, he moved further from the safety of his kingdom and deeper into the unknown. As the days turned into weeks, Edric traversed varied landscapes. He crossed sunlit meadows where wildflowers bloomed in vibrant colors, and navigated rocky terrains where the path grew treacherous and steep. He encountered rivers, their waters clear and swift, and forests teeming with life, where the songs of birds filled the air and the rustling of leaves hinted at unseen creatures. During his travels, Edric came across villages and hamlets, each one touched by the same plague that afflicted Florindale. He paused in these places, offering what little aid he could, sharing the news of his quest and spreading hope among the people. Though the journey was arduous, the gratitude and encouragement of those he met fueled his determination. One evening, as Edric rested by a campfire under a canopy of stars, he pulled out the ancient map he had taken from the royal library. The map, worn and fragile, depicted the path to the Enchanted Forest and marked the location of the golden ivy. It was said to lie in the heart of the forest, guarded by trials that would test the very essence of the seeker. Edric's thoughts drifted to his father, King Alden, and the people of Florindale. The image of their suffering spurred him on, reminding him of the urgency of his mission. He knew that time was of the essence. The illness showed no signs of abating, and every moment counted. The next day, Edric's journey led him to the edge of the Enchanted Forest. The forest's entrance was marked by 2 towering oaks. Their branches intertwined to form a natural archway. As he stepped through the arch, he felt a subtle shift in the air, a tingle of magic that hinted at the enchantments within. The Enchanted Forest was unlike any place Edric had ever seen. The trees were ancient, their trunks thick and gnarled, their leaves shimmering with a faint, ethereal light. Strange and beautiful flowers bloomed in vibrant hues, and the air was filled with the soft hum of unseen energies. Edric could sense the forest's watchful presence, as if the very trees were aware of his quest. As he ventured deeper, Edric encountered the first of many magical creatures. A group of fairies, their wings iridescent and delicate, fluttered around him, whispering in a language he could not understand. They seemed curious about his presence, their tiny faces alight with mischief and wonder. "Greetings, fair folk," Edric said, bowing respectfully. "I seek the golden ivy to heal my kingdom. Can you guide me to the guardian of this forest?" The fairies exchanged glances, their whispers growing more animated. Finally, one of them, a fairy with golden wings and a crown of flowers, hovered closer. "The guardian you seek is deep within the forest," she said in a melodic voice. "But be warned, Prince of Florindale, the path is fraught with trials that will test your heart and spirit." "I am prepared for whatever trials may come," Edric replied, his voice steady with determination. The fairy nodded, a hint of approval in her eyes. "Very well. Follow the path of light. It will lead you to the guardian. May fortune favor you, brave prince." With the fairy's guidance, Edric continued his journey, his path now lit by a faint, glowing trail that seemed to pulse with life. The deeper he ventured, the more the forest's magic became palpable, its energy a constant, thrumming presence around him. As twilight descended, casting long shadows through the trees, Edric came to a clearing bathed in the soft glow of moonlight. At the center stood a majestic figure, the guardian of the forest, radiating an aura of ancient power and wisdom. Edric's heart quickened. The time for his first trial had come, and with it, the next step in his quest to save Florindale. The guardian of the forest stood tall and imposing, a figure shrouded in mystery and ancient power. Clad in robes that seemed to be woven from the very essence of the forest, the guardian's eyes glowed with an otherworldly light. Edric approached with reverence, feeling the weight of centuries of wisdom in the presence of this enigmatic being. "Welcome, Prince Edric of Florindale." The guardian's voice resonated through the clearing, deep and melodic, echoing the whispers of the trees. "I know of your quest and the plight that has befallen your kingdom. The path you seek is not an easy one, and it will test you in ways you cannot yet fathom." Edric bowed respectfully. "I am prepared to face any challenge to save my people. Please tell me what I must do." The guardian raised a hand, and the air shimmered with magic. An ancient scroll appeared, floating before Edric. "This is the prophecy of the golden ivy," the guardian intoned. "It speaks of 3 trials you must pass: the trial of courage, the trial of wisdom, and the trial of purity. Only by proving yourself worthy in these trials will you gain the power to heal your kingdom." Edric took the scroll, feeling the ancient parchment thrumming with latent energy. He unfurled it, revealing intricate symbols and text that seemed to shift and change as he read. The prophecy's words were clear. When darkness falls upon the land and hope fades to despair, a brave soul shall seek the golden ivy. Through trials of courage, wisdom, and purity, they shall prove their worth and reclaim the light. The guardian's voice softened, taking on a more solemn tone. "The first trial awaits you, Prince Edric. The trial of courage lies in the heart of the forest, where shadows dwell and fears are made manifest. Only by confronting and overcoming your deepest fears will you succeed." Edric nodded, his resolve unshaken. "I am ready." The guardian gestured, and a path through the forest opened, its entrance marked by a glowing archway of intertwined branches. "Follow this path and it will lead you to the trial. Remember, true courage is not the absence of fear, but the strength to face it." With a final nod, Edric stepped onto the path, his heart steady and his mind focused. The forest around him grew darker, the air thick with anticipation. The trees seemed to close in, their branches whispering secrets and warnings. Edric's grip on his sword tightened, and he pressed forward, determined to face whatever lay ahead. As he walked, memories of his past surfaced, unbidden and vivid. He saw himself as a child, struggling to keep up with his father's expectations. He remembered the day he lost his mother to illness, a wound that had never fully healed. Each memory brought with it a wave of emotion, challenging his resolve. The path led to a clearing shrouded in shadow. At its center stood a towering figure, a dark reflection of Edric himself, embodying his fears and doubts. The figure's eyes glowed with a malevolent light, and it spoke in a voice that echoed with Edric's own insecurities. "You are not worthy, Edric. You cannot save your kingdom. You will fail, as you always have." Edric's heart pounded, but he stood his ground. "I am not defined by my fears," he declared, his voice strong. "I am the Prince of Florindale, and I will not let doubt rule me." The shadowy figure lunged, but Edric met it with unwavering determination. The clash was fierce, but Edric fought with a strength born of necessity and love for his people. With each strike, he faced his fears head-on, refusing to be cowed by them. Finally, with a powerful swing of his sword, Edric shattered the dark figure. The shadows dissipated, and the clearing was bathed in a warm golden light. Edric stood, breathing heavily but victorious. He had passed the trial of courage. The guardian appeared once more, a look of approval in their ancient eyes. "You have proven your courage, Prince Edric. The next trial awaits. May your heart remain steadfast, and may you find the wisdom you seek." With renewed resolve, Edric continued his journey, ready to face the next challenge. The fate of Florindale hung in the balance, but with each trial, he grew closer to finding the golden ivy and saving his kingdom from the mysterious illness that plagued it. Edric emerged from the shadowed clearing, his heart still pounding from the trial of courage. The path ahead was illuminated by a soft, golden light that seemed to guide him deeper into the heart of the Enchanted Forest. The air was cooler here, filled with the scent of ancient earth and blooming flowers. As he ventured further, the forest seemed to grow quieter, the usual sounds of chirping birds and rustling leaves replaced by an eerie silence. The trees, though majestic, appeared to be watching him with silent, knowing eyes. Edric's thoughts turned to the next trial, the trial of wisdom. He knew that this challenge would test not just his knowledge, but his ability to think clearly and make the right choices under pressure. The golden light intensified, leading Edric to a grand stone archway entwined with flowering vines. Beyond it lay a garden unlike any he had ever seen. The garden was filled with strange, otherworldly plants and flowers, their colours shifting and changing in the light. At the centre of the garden stood an ancient, weathered statue of a robed figure, holding a book in one hand and a staff in the other. Edric approached the statue cautiously, feeling a sense of reverence. The book in the statue's hand was open, its pages blank, but for a single line of glowing text that read, "The answer lies in the heart of the riddle." As Edric studied the statue, the ground beneath him began to tremble. A hidden door in the garden floor creaked open, revealing a descending staircase lit by flickering torches. He took a deep breath and descended into the dimly lit chamber below. The chamber was circular, with walls lined with shelves of ancient tomes and scrolls. At its centre was a pedestal with a large ornate box. Edric approached the box, his steps echoing in the cavernous space. The box was adorned with intricate symbols and runes, and as he touched it, the lid slowly creaked open, revealing a single scroll inside. Edric unfurled the scroll, and its contents were a complex riddle. "Of elements 4, I am the one. In sun or storm, my work is done. Yet in the heart of silence, I appear, guiding those who seek me here. What am I?" Edric pondered the riddle, his mind racing through the possibilities. He remembered the clues from the prophecy of the golden ivy and the knowledge he had gained from the ancient texts. The answer to the riddle would surely unlock the next phase of the trial. He recalled his recent trials and the lessons learned. The trial of courage had shown him the importance of confronting and overcoming fear. Now, in the trial of wisdom, he needed to apply his knowledge and understanding to solve the riddle. Edric's gaze wandered around the chamber, taking in the shelves of books and scrolls. Many of the tomes were dedicated to elemental magic and natural forces. He focused on the 4 classical elements: earth, air, fire, and water. Each had its own place and significance, but the riddle spoke of something that appeared in silence and guided those who sought it. He realized that the riddle referred to something more abstract, something that guided and provided direction rather than a physical element. The answer, he surmised, was light. Light could guide one's way in darkness and silence, and it was present in every element in some form. With a sense of clarity, Edric spoke aloud. The answer is light. As soon as he uttered the word, the room illuminated with a brilliant golden glow. The box on the pedestal opened further, revealing a small golden key. The key was intricately designed, with symbols that matched those on the box. Edric took the key and felt a rush of energy, as if the chamber itself acknowledged his success. He knew this key was the key to the next phase of his quest. With the key in hand, he retraced his steps back to the garden and found that the archway now glowed with the same golden light as the key. As he passed through the archway, he found himself back on the path leading deeper into the Enchanted Forest. The trial of wisdom was behind him, and he had succeeded in proving his intellect and insight. But he knew the most challenging trial lay ahead, the trial of purity. The forest seemed to embrace him as he continued, the path now bathed in a soft, otherworldly glow. He could feel the forest magic guiding him, leading him toward the final trial and ultimately toward the golden ivy. With each step, Edric's resolve strengthened. He had overcome the trials of courage and wisdom, and now, with the trial of purity awaiting him, he was determined to face whatever lay ahead. His quest to save Florindale was far from over, but with each challenge, he drew closer to the goal that would bring healing to his kingdom and hope to his people. The path through the Enchanted Forest grew increasingly ethereal as Edric advanced. The light from the golden key casting shimmering patterns on the ground. The trees, their trunks now shimmering with an inner light, seemed to part in silent reverence as he approached the next trial. The air was filled with a soft melodic hum, a soothing counterpoint to the tension that still gripped him. The forest eventually opened into a serene glade, its tranquility in stark contrast to the previous trials. At the center of the glade was a crystal-clear pool, its waters reflecting the light in hues of gold and azure. Surrounding the pool were lush, verdant plants and flowers that seemed to emit a gentle glow. The atmosphere was serene, almost otherworldly, inviting Edric to step forward. At the edge of the pool stood an altar, upon which rested a delicate silken vial filled with a shimmering liquid. Above it floated an inscription in ancient script. Only the pure of heart may take what is offered here. Reveal your true self, and the vial will be yours. Edric approached the altar feeling the weight of the inscription's challenge. The trial of purity was not about physical strength or intellect, but about the essence of his being, his innermost thoughts and feelings. He needed to confront his own heart's purity and intent. With a deep breath, Edric reached for the vial. The moment his fingers touched its surface, a sudden ripple spread across the pool. The waters began to swirl and darken, and a figure emerged from the depths. It was a spectral vision of Edric himself, but twisted and distorted by darkness. The spectral Edric spoke in a voice that echoed with bitterness and regret. "You seek to heal your kingdom, but what of your own heart? Are you truly pure in your intentions, or are you driven by a desire for glory or redemption?" Edric stepped back, his heart pounding. The spectral vision's words cut deep, revealing his inner fears and doubts. He had always felt a deep sense of responsibility for his kingdom, but he also harbored fears of inadequacy and failure. The trial was forcing him to confront these very feelings. "No," Edric said firmly. "I seek to heal my people out of love and duty, not for personal glory. My heart is true and my intentions are pure." The spectral figure laughed hollowly, its voice like the rustling of dead leaves. "Then face me, if you are so certain of your purity. Prove that your heart is free of darkness." The spectral Edric advanced, its form shifting and twisting with each step. Edric drew his sword, preparing to face this dark reflection of himself. The clash was not just physical, but emotional, as the spectral figure embodied all the doubts and insecurities he had ever felt. Edric fought with all his strength, each swing of his sword a testament to his resolve. The struggle was intense, and as he battled the spectral form, he was forced to confront his inner demons. His fears of failure, his regrets, and the pressure of his responsibilities. With a final, decisive strike, Edric shattered the spectral figure. As it disintegrated into wisps of darkness, a wave of relief and clarity washed over him. The waters of the pool calmed, and the vial on the altar began to glow with a soft golden light. Edric approached the altar once more and took the vial in his hands. The liquid inside shimmered with an almost sentient light, and he could feel its magical power resonating with his own heart. The vial was a symbol of his success in the trial, and its contents were said to hold the power to purify and heal. The inscription above the altar glowed softly, its message now clear. Edric had proven his heart's purity and his true intentions. He was ready for the final stage of his quest. With the vial safely in his possession, Edric felt a renewed sense of purpose. The path through the Enchanted Forest now seemed more inviting, the golden light guiding him toward his ultimate goal, the golden ivy. As he continued his journey, Edric reflected on the trials he had faced. Each challenge had tested him in different ways, but they had all brought him closer to understanding himself and his true purpose. The final trial was near, and with the vial in hand, he felt more confident than ever. The enchanted forest seemed to welcome him as he pressed on, the magic around him vibrant and alive. The trials had been arduous, but they had prepared him for the final steps of his quest. He was determined to reach the heart of the forest and claim the golden ivy, knowing that the fate of Florendale rested on his shoulders. With each step, Edric's resolve grew stronger. The trials had proven his courage, wisdom, and purity. Now, with the vial of healing liquid and his unwavering determination, he was ready to face whatever lay ahead and fulfill his mission to save his kingdom. The path leading deeper into the enchanted forest was now bathed in a shimmering golden light that seemed to pulse with an almost rhythmic beat. Edric held the vial tightly, its contents casting a soft, ethereal glow that illuminated his way. Each step he took felt lighter, as if the forest itself was encouraging his progress toward the final goal. The trees parted before him, revealing a majestic clearing that was unlike anything he had seen before. At the center of the clearing stood a towering ancient tree, its trunk thick and gnarled, its branches reaching skyward like the arms of a giant. The tree was adorned with golden ivy, its leaves shimmering with an otherworldly light. This was the heart of the enchanted forest, and the golden ivy was finally within reach. Edric approached the tree with reverence, feeling the power of the golden ivy radiate through the air. The tree's presence was awe-inspiring, its very essence imbued with ancient magic. As he drew closer, he noticed a series of golden runes etched into the bark of the tree, glowing softly with a warm, inviting light. At the base of the tree was a stone pedestal, upon which rested an ornate chest. The chest was adorned with intricate patterns and symbols that matched those on the tree's bark. Edric approached the pedestal, his heart pounding with anticipation. He knew that opening the chest would likely trigger the final challenge of his quest. Edric reached into his satchel and took out the golden key he had earned from the trial of wisdom. The key fit perfectly into the chest's lock, and with a deep breath, he turned it. The chest creaked open, revealing a cushion of golden velvet and a delicate crystal vial similar to the one he already held. Inside the new vial was a substance that glowed with an even more intense light. As he examined the vial, a soft, melodious voice filled the clearing. "You have done well, brave Edric. You have proven your courage, wisdom, and purity. The golden ivy awaits, but the final test is one of trust and sacrifice." From the shadows of the clearing, a figure emerged, an ethereal guardian of the forest, cloaked in robes of shimmering green and gold. The guardian's eyes were ancient and knowing, reflecting the wisdom of countless ages. To claim the golden ivy, The guardian continued, "You must be willing to make the ultimate sacrifice for the greater good. The vial you hold contains the essence of the golden ivy. To use it, you must pour it upon the ivy itself, but you must also give up something of great personal value." Edric's heart sank at the thought of sacrifice. He had come so far and faced so many trials. To give up something precious was a daunting prospect. But he knew that the fate of Florindale depended on his success. "What must I sacrifice?" Edric asked, his voice steady despite the turmoil within him. The guardian's gaze softened. "The sacrifice is not just a physical object, but something of great personal significance. It could be a cherished possession or a deeply held belief. The choice is yours, but it must be true and sincere." Edric considered the guardian's words carefully. He thought of the kingdom he was fighting to save, the people who were suffering from the plague. His quest had always been about more than just personal glory. It was about ensuring the well-being of his people and his land. He realized that his true sacrifice must reflect this higher purpose. With a heavy heart, Edric reached into his satchel and retrieved the pendant he wore. A family heirloom passed down through generations, symbolizing his lineage and his commitment to his kingdom. It was a beautiful piece, imbued with personal and familial significance. He had worn it throughout his journey, finding strength and comfort in its presence. Edric placed the pendant on the pedestal beside the chest, feeling a pang of sorrow as he did so. This pendant represented his heritage and his promise to protect his people. But he understood that the sacrifice was necessary for the greater good. He took the vial of golden ivy essence and poured it gently over the ivy at the base of the ancient tree. The liquid shimmered and flowed over the ivy, which responded with a brilliant golden glow. The entire clearing was bathed in a radiant light, and Edric felt a surge of warmth and hope. The guardian nodded in approval. "Your sacrifice was true and selfless. The golden ivy is now fully awakened, and its healing power will be yours to use." The ivy's light grew brighter, and the tree seemed to pulse with renewed energy. The golden leaves of the ivy began to fall, drifting gently to the ground. Edric carefully collected the fallen leaves, knowing that they would hold the key to curing the plague that had befallen Florindale. With the essence of the golden ivy and the leaves in his possession, Edric felt a profound sense of accomplishment and hope. The final step of his journey awaited him: the return to Florindale and the use of the golden ivy to heal his people. Edric bowed to the guardian in gratitude and turned to leave the clearing. The path back seemed clearer now, the forest guiding him gently toward his kingdom. He knew that his quest was nearing its end, and with the power of the golden ivy, he would bring healing and hope to his land. Chapter 2: The Healing Journey. The journey back through the Enchanted Forest felt different for Edric. The once daunting paths now seemed like a gentle guide leading him home. The golden leaves of the ivy, carefully stored in a velvet pouch, pulsed softly with the promise of healing. Edric's heart was filled with hope and determination, tempered by the solemn weight of his mission. As he emerged from the forest and glimpsed the horizon of Florendale, he felt a renewed sense of urgency. The kingdom, shrouded in the shadow of the plague, awaited his return. The streets, once vibrant with life, were now eerily quiet, their usual bustle replaced by a sombre silence. The sight of Florendale, draped in a veil of desolation, struck Edric deeply. The plague had not only affected the people physically, but had also cast a pall over the land's spirit. Edric hastened toward the castle, where the Council of Florendale awaited his arrival. Upon reaching the castle gates, Edric was greeted by a sombre procession. King Cedric, his father, stood with the council members, their faces etched with worry and fatigue. They had awaited his return with bated breath, hoping against hope for a solution to the kingdom's plight. "Father!" Edric called out, his voice carrying both relief and urgency. King Cedric's eyes widened as he recognized his son, and a mixture of joy and relief washed over his face. "Edric, you have returned!" King Cedric exclaimed, his voice filled with emotion. "Did you find the golden ivy? Can it truly heal our people?" Edric nodded, drawing the golden pouch from his satchel. "Yes, father. The golden ivy is in my possession, and it holds the power to cure the plague. But we must act quickly. The essence and the leaves need to be administered to the afflicted." The council gathered around, their expressions a mixture of hope and skepticism. Edric took the vial and the pouch of leaves and led them to the infirmary, where the sick and suffering lay in rows. The scene was heart-wrenching. Each bed held a patient whose condition was dire, their strength waning with each passing day. With the eyes of the council upon him, Edric began to administer the essence of the golden ivy. He carefully poured a few drops into each vial of water that would be given to the patients. The liquid shimmered with a golden hue, and a palpable sense of magic filled the room. The golden leaves were crushed and mixed into a potent remedy that would be distributed to the patients. As Edric worked, he felt a profound connection to the people he was helping. The task was not just about saving lives, but restoring hope to a kingdom on the brink of despair. The first patient to receive the remedy was a young girl named Eldoria, who had been bedridden for weeks. As the liquid touched her lips, a soft, radiant glow enveloped her. Edric watched in awe as her pallor began to brighten and colour returned to her cheeks. The change was immediate and miraculous. Word spread quickly through the castle and the city about the miraculous effects of the golden ivy. Hope ignited in the hearts of the people, and they began to gather around the infirmary, eager to hear news of their loved ones. Within hours, more and more patients began to show signs of improvement. The sickness that had once gripped them with such ferocity began to recede. The golden ivy's healing power was nothing short of a miracle. As the day wore on, Edric stood amidst the recovering patients and their grateful families. The atmosphere in the infirmary had shifted from one of despair to one of joyous relief. Edric felt a deep sense of satisfaction, knowing that his trials and sacrifices had led to this moment of triumph. The council members who had initially been skeptical now approached Edric with admiration and gratitude. "You have done it, Edric," one of them said. "You've brought hope and healing to Florindale. Your bravery and dedication have saved us all." King Cedric, his eyes brimming with tears, embraced his son. "You've done more than I could have ever hoped for, Edric. You have saved our kingdom and restored its spirit." Edric, humbled by the praise, looked around at the faces of those he had helped. It was the golden ivy that made this possible. But it was the strength and spirit of our people that truly made it happen. We must continue to work together to rebuild and strengthen our kingdom. As the sun set over Florindale, casting a warm golden light over the recovering city, Edric knew that the journey was far from over. The kingdom had been healed, but the work of rebuilding and ensuring that such a plague would never return had just begun. With the golden ivy's legacy now intertwined with the future of Florindale, Edric felt a renewed sense of purpose. The trials he had faced had tested him, but they had also prepared him for the responsibilities that lay ahead. Florindale was on the path to recovery, and he was ready to lead it into a new era of hope and prosperity. With the plague receding and the people of Florindale beginning to recover, the focus shifted from healing to rebuilding. The kingdom's streets, once silent with illness, now buzzed with the sounds of restoration and renewal. Edric, having played a pivotal role in the recovery, found himself at the heart of this transformation, guiding and inspiring his people as they worked together to restore their land. The castle too felt the ripple effects of the recovery. The once somber hallways and chambers were now alive with activity. Edric walked through the corridors, his presence a beacon of hope and leadership. He was greeted with gratitude and respect by every person he passed, their faces lighting up with smiles that had been absent for too long. Edric's first priority was to ensure that the recovery efforts were organized and effective. He worked closely with the council to allocate resources and direct aid to the areas that needed it most. The experience of the plague had taught them the importance of preparedness and vigilance. Plans were put into place to prevent future outbreaks and to fortify the kingdom's defences against any threats. In the heart of the castle's grand hall, Edric convened a meeting with the council and key figures from the community. The room was filled with the murmur of conversations and the rustling of documents as they discussed the kingdom's recovery plan. "We have made tremendous progress," Edric began, addressing the gathered assembly. But our work is far from over. We must ensure that our people are not only healed, but also equipped to rebuild and thrive. One of the council members, Lady Eldoria, spoke up. We need to address the economic impact of the plague. Many businesses were closed and trade routes were disrupted. How do we restore our kingdom's economy? Edric nodded thoughtfully. We must support local businesses and merchants and reinvigorate trade routes. Additionally, we should focus on creating job opportunities and investing in infrastructure projects to stimulate economic growth. The discussion turned to the practical aspects of recovery. Teams were organized to assist with rebuilding homes and repairing infrastructure. Volunteers from across the kingdom came forward, eager to lend their skills and resources to the effort. Meanwhile, Edric's attention also turned to the more personal aspects of recovery. He visited the homes of those who had lost loved ones during the plague, offering his condolences and support. His presence provided comfort to the grieving families, and his genuine compassion was deeply appreciated. As the days passed, the kingdom's transformation was evident. Streets that had once been empty and silent were now bustling with activity. Markets reopened, and the sounds of laughter and conversation filled the air. The sense of community and resilience that had emerged during the crisis became a cornerstone of Florindale's recovery. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm golden light over the kingdom, Edric took a moment to reflect on the progress that had been made. He walked through the newly repaired streets, observing the positive changes and the renewed spirit of the people. In the town square, a grand celebration was underway. A festival to mark the end of the plague and the beginning of a new era for Florindale. Music and laughter filled the air, and people danced and celebrated with a joy that had been absent for too long. Edric stood on a balcony overlooking the festivities, his heart swelling with pride and gratitude. His gaze was drawn to the castle's gardens, where the golden ivy had been planted as a symbol of hope and renewal. The ivy's golden leaves shimmered in the twilight, a constant reminder of the power of perseverance and unity. King Cedric joined Edric on the balcony, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You have done an incredible job, Edric. Your bravery and dedication have saved our kingdom and set us on the path to a brighter future." Edric looked at his father with a grateful smile. "It was a collective effort, Father. The strength and resilience of our people made it possible. Together, we have overcome the greatest challenge we have ever faced." As the celebration continued below, Edric felt a deep sense of fulfillment. The trials he had faced and the sacrifices he had made had led to this moment of triumph. Florindale was healing, and its people were finding joy and hope once more. The night sky above was filled with stars, and the light from the festival below seemed to merge with the celestial brilliance. Edric knew that the road ahead would still be challenging, but he felt confident in the strength of his kingdom and the unity of its people. The golden ivy had not only healed his people, but had also restored a sense of purpose and hope to Florindale. As the festival continued and the celebrations carried on late into the night, Edric took one last look at the vibrant kingdom he had fought to save. He knew that the future was bright, and that, with the spirit of cooperation and resilience that had emerged, Florindale would continue to flourish. With a heart full of hope and a spirit renewed, Edric prepared himself for the journey ahead. The trials had shaped him into a leader, and the challenges of rebuilding were but a new chapter in the ongoing story of Florindale. The celebrations in Florindale had reached their peak, with the kingdom's people reveling in their newfound hope and vitality. Yet, as the sun rose the next morning, casting a golden glow over the city, a shadow loomed on the horizon, an unforeseen threat that would test the kingdom's resilience once more. Edric, still basking in the afterglow of their victory, was summoned to the castle's war room early that day. The atmosphere was charged with urgency as the council members and key advisors gathered, their faces tense with concern. King Cedric stood at the head of the table, his expression grave. "Edric," King Cedric began, "we have received troubling news. Reports from the border regions indicate that a band of marauders, led by a sorcerer with dark powers, has been seen approaching our lands." Edric's heart sank. The kingdom had barely begun to recover from the plague, and now it faced the threat of invasion. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for the challenges that lay ahead. "What do we know about these marauders and their leader?" Edric asked, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. A council member named Sir Alden spoke up. "The sorcerer, known as Malvorn, is rumoured to possess dark magic that can corrupt and destroy. The marauders are believed to be his loyal followers, and their intent is to seize Florindale while it is still vulnerable." Edric's mind raced. The sorcerer's dark magic could pose a significant threat to the recovering kingdom. The golden ivy had restored health and hope, but it could not defend against an army fueled by malevolent power. "We must prepare for their arrival," Edric said firmly. "We need to fortify our defences and rally our forces. Additionally, we should send scouts to gather more information about the marauders' movements and their exact location." King Cedric nodded in agreement. "Edric, you will lead the efforts to fortify our defences. I trust your judgment and your ability to inspire our people." With the council's directive, Edric set to work immediately. He assembled a team of skilled warriors and strategists, and together they began to prepare the kingdom for the impending threat. They fortified the castle walls, reinforced the city gates, and trained the militia in combat readiness. In the midst of the preparations, Edric took a moment to visit the castle's forge, where he found skilled blacksmiths working tirelessly to craft weapons and armor. Edric addressed the blacksmiths with a voice of encouragement. "Your work is crucial to our defense," Edric said. "The strength of our kingdom rests not only in its people, but also in the tools we use to protect it. Your craftsmanship will be the shield that guards Florindale." The blacksmiths nodded with determination, their hammers striking metal with renewed vigor. Edric felt a surge of pride as he witnessed the collective effort of his people. Despite the looming threat, there was a palpable sense of unity and resolve. Meanwhile, scouts were dispatched to the borders to track the marauders' movements. Days passed with little word, and the tension grew palpable. The once celebratory atmosphere of Florindale was now tinged with anxiety as everyone awaited news from the front lines. One evening, as dusk settled over the kingdom, a scout returned with urgent news. The marauders were nearing Florindale's borders, their numbers larger than anticipated. The scout reported that Malvorn, the dark sorcerer, had indeed begun to use his magic to sow discord and fear among the local villagers. Edric convened an emergency meeting with the council to discuss the new developments. The room was filled with tension as they assessed the situation. "The sorcerer's magic poses a formidable challenge," Edric said, his brow furrowed. "We must be prepared for both direct attacks and attempts to undermine our morale." Lady Elara spoke up. "We should consider forming alliances with neighbouring kingdoms. Their support could provide us with additional resources and troops." King Cedric agreed. "Edric, I authorize you to seek out these alliances. We need every possible advantage if we are to defend our kingdom." With the council's approval, Edric set out to contact neighbouring realms and forge alliances. He travelled to nearby kingdoms, presenting the case for cooperation against the common threat. The response was encouraging. Many rulers and leaders were willing to lend their support in exchange for mutual protection and aid. Back in Florindale, the preparations for battle continued in earnest. The fortified walls and trained soldiers were ready, but the looming presence of Malvorn's dark magic cast a shadow over their preparations. Edric knew that their fight was not only against physical forces, but also against the insidious power of the sorcerer's magic. As the day of the anticipated confrontation approached, Edric stood at the edge of the castle, gazing out at the horizon. The sky was darkening with the promise of an impending storm, both literal and metaphorical. The golden ivy's glow had faded to a faint shimmer, but its legacy of hope and resilience remained. Edric knew that the upcoming battle would be one of the greatest challenges he had ever faced, but with the support of his allies, the bravery of his people, and the strength of his resolve, he was determined to protect Florindale from the encroaching darkness. The kingdom's future hung in the balance, and Edric was prepared to lead his people into the fray, ready to confront the threat that sought to cast a shadow over their hard-won recovery. The night before the anticipated battle, the air in Florendale was thick with tension. The once celebratory streets were now silent, save for the occasional murmur of worried conversations and the clanging of metal as soldiers prepared for the confrontation. The kingdom had rallied its defences, but the dark spectre of Malvorn's army loomed large over their preparations. Edric stood atop the castle's highest tower, his eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of the approaching threat. The sky was overcast, casting a dreary light over the landscape. The golden ivy, planted in the castle gardens, seemed to shimmer with a soft, reassuring glow despite the encroaching gloom. It was a symbol of hope amid the gathering storm. King Cedric joined Edric on the tower, his expression sombre. "Edric, are we prepared for what lies ahead?" Edric turned to his father, his face set with determination. "We have fortified the castle and assembled our forces. Our allies are en route, and our defences are as strong as we can make them. But we must remain vigilant. Malvorn's dark magic is a formidable foe." The king nodded, his gaze shifting to the distant horizon. "I have faith in you and our people. We have faced many challenges before, and we will face this one with courage." As the night deepened, the scouts returned with more urgent news. The marauders were drawing closer, their numbers larger than initially reported. The air was charged with a sense of impending conflict, and the once quiet castle became a hive of activity as final preparations were made. At dawn, the first signs of the enemy appeared on the horizon. A dark, swirling mist heralded the arrival of Malvorn's forces. The ground seemed to tremble as the marauders approached, their black armour glinting menacingly in the pale light. Edric took his place at the head of the assembled army, his heart pounding with both anxiety and resolve. The soldiers, their faces set with determination, awaited the command to engage. The fortifications of Florendale stood ready, their walls and battlements reinforced to withstand the coming onslaught. The battle began with a sudden and fierce assault. Malvorn's forces surged forward, their dark magic crackling through the air like lightning. Edric and his soldiers met the charge with a brave and coordinated defense. The clash of steel and the roar of battle filled the air as Florendale's defenders fought valiantly to hold their ground. Edric fought at the forefront, his sword flashing in the dim light as he engaged the enemy. His movements were precise and determined, each swing of his blade a testament to his commitment to protecting his kingdom. Despite the ferocity of the attack, Florendale's defences held firm, the fortified walls proving resilient against the marauders' assault. Amidst the chaos of the battle, Edric caught sight of Malvorn. The dark sorcerer stood at the edge of the battlefield, his dark robe billowing around him as he channeled his magic. Malvorn's eyes gleamed with malevolent intent, and a surge of dark energy rippled through his forces. Determined to confront the source of the threat, Edric pushed through the ranks of the enemy, making his way toward Malvorn. The sorcerer's dark magic was a tangible force, warping the very air around him. Edric felt the oppressive weight of the magic pressing down on him, but he pressed on, driven by the need to protect his kingdom. As Edric neared Malvorn, the sorcerer raised his hand, unleashing a wave of dark energy that lashed out at him. Edric deflected the attack with his sword, the impact of the dark magic reverberating through his body. He could see the glint of satisfaction in Malvorn's eyes, a twisted pleasure in the suffering he was causing. With a determined roar, Edric charged at Malvorn, his sword slicing through the dark energy. The sorcerer's laughter echoed through the battlefield, a chilling sound that fueled Edric's resolve. He could not allow Malvorn's darkness to overtake his kingdom. The two combatants clashed in a storm of magic and steel. Edric's blade cut through the dark energy, while Malvorn's spells struck with relentless force. The battle around them seemed to fade as they engaged in their duel, each determined to prevail. Despite the ferocity of the combat, Edric remained focused on his goal. He could feel the weight of Florindale's fate hanging in the balance. With a final, powerful strike, Edric drove his sword into Malvorn's dark magic, shattering the sorcerer's defenses. The dark energy exploded in a blinding flash, and Malvorn was thrown backward, his dark magic dissipating. The sorcerer's defeat had an immediate impact on the battlefield. The marauders, deprived of their leader's dark magic, faltered and began to retreat. Florindale's forces pressed their advantage, pushing the remaining enemy troops back and reclaiming their ground. As the battle drew to a close, the once darkened sky began to clear, the first light of dawn breaking through the clouds. The kingdom's defenders stood victorious, their courage and unity having overcome the dark threat that had loomed over them. Edric, exhausted but triumphant, surveyed the battlefield. The cost of the battle had been high, but the victory was a testament to the strength and resilience of Florindale and its people. The threat had been vanquished, and the kingdom's future was secured. King Cedric approached Edric, his eyes filled with pride. "You have led us through a great trial and emerged victorious. Your bravery and determination have saved Florindale once again." Edric, his gaze resting on the recovering battlefield, nodded. "It was the strength of our people and the support of our allies that made this victory possible. We will honor those who fought and sacrificed for this kingdom, and we will continue to rebuild and strengthen Florindale." As the sun rose higher, casting its golden light over the victorious kingdom, Edric knew that the journey was far from over. The battle was won, but the work of healing and rebuilding continued. Florindale had faced darkness and emerged stronger, and with unwavering resolve, Edric prepared to lead his people into a new era of hope and prosperity. In the wake of the battle, Florindale lay in a sombre yet hopeful silence. The once foreboding skies had cleared, and the first rays of sunlight touched the land with a gentle warmth, as if the heavens themselves were celebrating the kingdom's hard-won victory. The city was a tapestry of recovery, with its streets and buildings marred by the scars of conflict, but its spirit unwavering. Edric, though weary from the recent struggle, remained a beacon of strength and determination. The castle was a hive of activity, with soldiers and citizens alike working tirelessly to repair the damage and restore the kingdom to its former glory. The golden leaves of the ivy, once a symbol of hope, now shone brightly in the castle gardens, a testament to the resilience of Florindale. King Cedric had called for a grand assembly to address the kingdom. As Edric walked beside his father toward the assembly hall, he could sense the anticipation in the air. The people of Florindale had gathered, eager to hear their king's words and to participate in the healing process of their beloved land. The assembly hall was filled with the murmur of the crowd, a sea of faces reflecting both exhaustion and relief. King Cedric stepped to the front, his regal presence commanding silence. Edric stood beside him, ready to support his father and share in the honor of the kingdom's recovery. "People of Florindale," King Cedric began, his voice carrying across the hall. "Today we stand united not only as a kingdom, but as a family. We have faced great peril, and we have emerged victorious. The darkness that threatened us has been driven away, thanks to the bravery of our soldiers, the wisdom of our allies, and the unyielding spirit of our people." A cheer rose from the crowd, a wave of sound that echoed through the hall. Edric could see the pride and relief in the faces of the people. They had endured much, but they had also proven their strength. "The battle was fierce," King Cedric continued, "and the cost was great. Many of our brave soldiers gave their lives to protect our kingdom. We honor their sacrifice and pledge to rebuild what has been lost. We will not let their bravery be in vain." Edric stepped forward, his voice steady as he addressed the assembly. "We have seen the power of unity and resilience. Florindale has faced darkness, but it is the light of our hope and determination that will guide us forward. The golden ivy, which has healed our land, is a symbol of our strength. We will continue to nurture it, just as we will nurture our kingdom." As the assembly concluded, the people of Florindale set to work with renewed vigor. The castle and the city were alive with the sounds of reconstruction, hammering, rebuilding, and the collective effort to restore their home. Edric took an active role in these efforts, helping to coordinate the repairs and ensuring that the needs of the citizens were met. Among the many tasks was the replanting of the golden ivy. The healing properties of the plant had been integral to their recovery, and its presence was now even more symbolic. Edric personally oversaw the replanting, ensuring that the ivy was carefully tended to and that its magic continued to benefit the kingdom. As days turned into weeks, the scars of the battle began to heal. Florindale's streets were bustling once more, and the atmosphere was filled with the sounds of life and laughter. The kingdom was on the path to recovery, and the spirit of its people was stronger than ever. Edric took time to visit the border regions that had been affected by the marauders. The people there were rebuilding their homes and their lives, and Edric's presence provided both practical assistance and moral support. The knowledge that their prince cared for them and was actively involved in their recovery was a powerful motivator. In the midst of the recovery efforts, Edric received word from the neighbouring kingdoms that had offered their support during the battle. They had sent delegations to express their gratitude and to discuss future alliances. The relationships forged in the heat of conflict were now transforming into strong, cooperative partnerships. One evening, as the sun set over Florindale, casting a golden hue over the kingdom, Edric found himself reflecting on the journey they had undertaken. The battle had been a formidable challenge, but it had also revealed the strength of their unity and the resilience of their spirit. Edric stood in the castle gardens, the golden ivy glistening in the fading light. Its golden leaves seemed to radiate a sense of peace and renewal. He took a deep breath, savouring the calm after the storm. As he walked through the gardens, he encountered Lady Eldoria, who had been a steadfast ally throughout the conflict. She approached him with a warm smile, her eyes reflecting the same hope and determination that had carried them through the battle. "Edric," Lady Eldoria said, "I believe we have earned a moment to rest and reflect. The kingdom is healing, and our work has borne fruit. We should take this time to celebrate our victory and honour those who made it possible." Edric nodded, his heart swelling with pride and gratitude. "Indeed, Lady Eldoria, our victory is a testament to the strength of Florindale and its people. We will honour the past, embrace the present, and look to the future with hope and determination." As the sun dipped below the horizon, the castle's gardens were filled with a sense of calm and accomplishment. The kingdom had faced great trials, but it had emerged stronger and more united. Florindale's journey was far from over, but with each passing day, the kingdom moved closer to a future of peace and prosperity. Edric knew that the path ahead would be filled with challenges, but he was ready to face them with the same courage and resolve that had seen them through the darkest of times. With the golden ivy as a symbol of their strength and unity, Florindale was poised to embrace a new chapter in its storied history. As the weeks passed, Florindale flourished under the renewed light of peace. The city was a tapestry of vibrant life, with every corner echoing the melodies of recovery and renewal. The golden ivy, once a mere plant, had become a revered symbol of hope. its golden leaves radiating a magical aura that seemed to infuse the kingdom with vitality. Edric continued his efforts to ensure that the kingdom's recovery was both thorough and sustainable. The golden ivy had proven to be a miraculous boon, but its magic was a reminder of the delicate balance between nature and power. Edric consulted with the kingdom's most learned scholars and magical practitioners to understand the full extent of its properties and to ensure its continued growth and influence. One day, as Edric walked through the castle gardens, he was joined by Lady Elara. She carried with her a scroll, its seal bearing the emblem of the Council of Florindale. Her expression was one of deep contemplation as she approached him. "Edric," Lady Elara began, "the Council has been discussing the future of the Golden Ivy and its role in our kingdom. There is a proposal to create a sanctuary dedicated to its care and study." Edric nodded thoughtfully. "A sanctuary would be a fitting tribute to the Golden Ivy's role in our recovery. It would also allow us to explore its properties in greater depth and ensure that its magic continues to benefit our people." Lady Elara unrolled the scroll, revealing detailed plans for the sanctuary. The design included not only a place for the ivy's cultivation, but also a research center where scholars and magicians could study its magic. The sanctuary would be surrounded by lush gardens and protected by enchantments to preserve the ivy's purity. "This sanctuary," Lady Elara explained, "will serve as a place of learning and reflection. It will honor the role of the Golden Ivy in our history and ensure that its legacy endures for generations to come." Edric's eyes sparkled with determination. "Then let us proceed with this plan. We will create a sanctuary that reflects the strength and resilience of Florindale, and we will ensure that the knowledge gained from the Golden Ivy serves to protect and guide our kingdom." With the decision made, work on the sanctuary began in earnest. The construction was a collaborative effort, drawing on the skills of architects, magicians, and artisans. The site was carefully chosen, a tranquil clearing within the castle grounds, surrounded by ancient trees and bathed in the soft glow of the Golden Ivy's magic. As the sanctuary took shape, Edric continued his visits to the border regions and other parts of the kingdom. His presence was a source of encouragement to the people, and his efforts to rebuild and strengthen Florindale were met with widespread appreciation. The once damaged regions were gradually restored to their former splendor, and the bonds between the kingdom's diverse communities grew stronger. During one of his visits, Edric encountered an elderly woman in a small village. She was a healer who had been affected by the marauders' attack. Her home had been destroyed, and her ability to tend to the sick had been severely limited. Edric offered his assistance, and together with the help of the kingdom's resources, they were able to rebuild her home and restore her clinic. The elderly healer, her eyes filled with gratitude, took Edric's hand. "Young prince, Your kindness and bravery have not only saved our kingdom, but have touched the lives of its people. The golden ivy's magic has healed our land. But it is your spirit that has truly made a difference. Edric bowed his head in appreciation. It is the strength and unity of our people that has guided us through these times. The golden ivy is but a symbol of our collective effort and resolve. As the sanctuary neared completion, the anticipation among the people of Florindale grew. The grand opening was to be a momentous occasion, a celebration of the kingdom's recovery and a tribute to the golden ivy's role in their salvation. The event was set to include a ceremonial planting of a new golden ivy, signifying the beginning of a new era for Florindale. On the day of the grand opening, the sanctuary was bathed in the warm light of the setting sun. The air was filled with the fragrance of blooming flowers, and the golden leaves of the ivy seemed to shimmer with an otherworldly glow. The kingdom's leaders, scholars, and citizens gathered to witness the event. Edric stood before the assembled crowd, his heart swelling with pride and hope. Today, we celebrate not only our victory, but the enduring legacy of the golden ivy. This sanctuary will be a place of learning, healing, and inspiration. It is a testament to our kingdom's strength and the magic that has guided us. As the new golden ivy was planted in the center of the sanctuary, its golden leaves catching the last light of the day, a sense of tranquility and fulfillment settled over Florindale. The ivy's magic seemed to infuse the air with a sense of promise and renewal, a reminder of the kingdom's journey from darkness to light. The sanctuary became a place of pilgrimage for those seeking wisdom and healing.